We are fully committed to addressing the root causes of violent extremism. This policy framework and national action plan is a complementary approach developed through consultations with Nigerians in and outside the government. We are committed also to implement the framework through the whole of society approach involving all Nigerians. I have directed that all ministries, departments, and agencies institutionalize mainstream measures to address the root causes of violent extremism while implementing programs that build the resilience of our people to recover from the consequences of violence. We are grateful to God that through the immense sacrifices of our armed forces and other security agencies, Boko Haram has been degraded and pushed out of communities where they had found sanctuary.
Beyond putting the military might to task, the Nigerian government is embarking on the next phase of the fight. President Buhari further noted that through the immense sacrifices of the Nigeria Armed Forces and security agencies, Boko Haram has been massively decimated and pushed out of communities where they had found sanctuary.
We must now, working together, focus on rooting out hate, misrepresentation of religion, and violence in our society. I wish to therefore express my sincere gratitude to those individuals and institutions who contributed towards the development of this policy framework and national action plan. I also call on states and local governments to develop action plans for preventing and countering violent extremism at the grassroots. I likewise call on all civil society organizations and international institutions to be guided by the principles enshrined in this policy framework and national action plan. Finally, I am very pleased to launch the policy framework and national action plan and call on all ministers and heads of agencies to take steps in implementing the plan. Thank you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
It followed President Buhari's directive in August of this year, when he mandated that there is a need for a new policy to fight violent extremism in the country. The National Security Advisor disclosed that Nigeria is one of the few countries in the world that have developed the policy framework, which was showcased on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly held in September 2017 in New York.
Nigeria's effort was overwhelmingly appreciated during the Global Solutions Exchange side event, where several donors indicated their willingness to partner with Nigeria in implementing the National Action Plan. Towards understanding the root causes of violent extremism, this policy framework also benefited from the values of research conducted for the Office of the National Security Advisor by a team of experts on radicalization, counter-radicalization, de-radicalization in Nigeria. Through wide consultation, we have thus developed a policy framework that is truly people-oriented and is tailored to address the conditions conducive to the spread of terrorism while countering the dangerous ideology that fuels terrorism.
He speaks more on the policy framework and the four major objectives which dictate its priority components.
This policy framework and National Action Plan rests on four major objectives which dictate our priority components. These are: A, strengthening institutions and coordination in preventing and countering violent extremism; B, strengthening the rule of law, access to justice and human rights; C, C, engaging communities and building resilience, and D, integrating strategic communications in preventing and countering violent extremism. We have also included a strategic implementation matrix to guide government and non-governmental actors in delivering the 3-year National Action Plan set in this policy framework. Now, in order to achieve these objectives, I wish to highlight some of the immediate steps we are required to take going forward. A, all relevant ministries, departments, and agencies are required to include in their annual budgets preventing and countering violent extremism tasks for implementation. B, a national preventing and countering violent extremism steering committee will be constituted to oversee implementation of the National Action Plan. The committee will include representation from civil society. C, the Strategic Communication Interagency Policy Committee, already established in the Office of the National Security Advisor, will provide support for coordination, synchronization, and measurement of communication initiatives across ministries, departments, and agencies, aligning communication strategies with national strategic objectives to prevent and counter violent extremism. D, state governments are encouraged to mirror and develop their inclusive local action plans for preventing and countering violent extremism. The Office of the National Security Advisor will provide strategic expertise, research, and support to all the states in developing locally relevant strategies.